This is how I made the small chops platter of 41 spring rolls, 26 samosas, 127 puff puff. Hi guys, welcome to my vlog channel. My name is Susan and this is the fun channel where I share all things DIY, family vlog, lifestyle, millinery tutorials, commercial recipes on small chops, drinks, how to earn money on the side while waiting for that cake or small chops order. So let's get started. I'm making use of this dried kidney beans and green peas. I got this for 400 naira. I'm also going to be making use of Scotch Bonnet, or what's popularly known here in Lagos as rodo. Then these onions I got it for 200 naira. That Scotch Bonnet was 500 naira. Then I got this carrots for 500 naira. Guys, this carrots, just 6 pieces for 500 naira, and it's not a big one. Hey father. Then I got spring onions for 200 naira. Yes, this is spring onions I got. Spring onions I'll usually buy 100 naira for this size. Then this is the beef I got this beef for 25, 1000 naira for the rest for the small chops, and 15 for family cooking during the weekend. Then this cabbage I got it for 800 naira. This small cabbage, 800 naira. What you usually get for 300 naira before. So the first thing I did was to rinse my kidney beans and green peas. I rinsed them off. Then I'm going to put aside this water. I'm going to soak this in the evening so that it gets softened and plumbier. Then I'm also going to rinse my Scotch bonnet. I'm going to set it aside for later to blend it roughly. I am not going to be using green bell peppers or yellow bell peppers because I couldn't find them at the market. Then for my beef, I'm also going to rinse it. I've already washed it before with a little bit of vinegar. You can also wash with salt. Then I'll just rinse it, and I'm going to place it back again into my pot where I'm going to add my seasoning. I'm keeping my seasoning to very minimal. I'm going to be using seasoning cubes, salt, some dry pepper. My fresh pepper wasn't enough, so I introduced dry pepper, then curry masala, and basically that was all I used to season this beef. How are you guys coping with the increase in prices of materials for small shops and cake? This is becoming insane, guys. Is it only we here in Lagos, or is it also affecting every other part in Nigeria? Because this is insane. So the curry masala I bought 2, and this was 100 naira. One is 50 naira, that one is 50 naira, that is 100 naira. So I'm not adding any water. I'll just stir my beef together. I won't add water because beef contains lots of water content, so I won't add any water. I'll cover it. I will later add onions. I forgot to add that now. I'll cover it and allow this to cook on low heat. It generates its own liquid just like this, and I'll now introduce new water just to cover the top of the beef, and I'll leave this to cook completely. The next thing I went ahead to do is to prep my spring onions while my son is grating the carrots. Yes, he loves helping out, Chef Desi. So he's helping me out in grating the carrots. This I already washed. Then once I was through with that, I'll go over to other veggies, to my onions and to my cabbage and all that. So I have lots of videos on this channel that I've shared on how to make samosas and spring roll, very detailed video with tips that you need to look out for. So please guys, go over and watch those videos. Then for my cabbage and my carrot, if I've been following my small shop series, you know that my cabbage and carrot is always a 60-40 ratio or a 50-50 ratio. For this particular one, I'm using 60-40 ratio. Go back and watch other videos if you have not been following my small shops series. I'm not using Irish potatoes because I couldn't find them at the market, so I'm just using one sauce for both samosas and spring roll, and that was what I used on my small chops platter, keeping it very simple. What I mean by 60-40 or 50-50 ratio is that my cabbage will be 60% more than my carrot, which should be 40%. You can also do 50% cabbage and 50% carrot. That is equal quantity. On no account should your cabbage be more than your carrots. On no account. Now I also have an ultimate meat pie or spring roll sauce recipe on this channel. You can also check that out. In all my small chops video, I think I've shared my small chops sauce recipe the original one, not this one that we're making without some ingredients not being there. So now we're going over to the jacket, the small chops jacket. I'm going to be using corn flour. I bought this corn flour. They said this cup is 500 naira. It's not like the standard measuring cup. It's like a milk cup. Let's sell it for 500 naira, and it's a measured one. So if you're following my small chops videos, you know that I have a small chops jackets mix recipe already live on the channel. I'll drop the recipe too, and also a puff puff mix video already live on the channel. I'll also drop the link too, but I also share another recipe, the same recipe in a smaller quantity. So this small chops and samosa I'm doing, or puff puff, the batter is smaller, so I'm using a smaller bowl. So I'm going to be using cup to work for my small chops jacket, and I'm going to be using this cup. I'm going to be measuring 4 of this cup into my measuring bowl. I'll measure 4 of it into my measuring bowl. I'm going to sieve it. Please check the description box for the detailed measurements. I'm going to be leaving the measurements there, and also links to my previous videos. Description box, guys, so check description box, and I'm going to leave it there. If you've watched my recent videos, you know I've shared a video on how to measure your flour correctly using cups. So I'm using cups so that you can see that if you don't have a scale, you can also measure with your cups and it will be accurate. So once I was through, my son was going to be sieving the flour. Yes, it's going to be sieving it. I got half pint of flour for this work, or for this job, or for this order, for small chops and for puff puff. I got half pint of flour for it. So you will know that when I'm making small chops recipes or puff puff, I don't usually sieve my flour 3 times. I only sieve 3 times when I'm making cakes. For small chops, for pastries, I only sieve once. If you are still watching this video up to now, it means you're enjoying my content, and please show us some love by subscribing and joining my YouTube family. And once you do, I promise I'm going to leave you a special shout out in my next video. Just leave me "Hi, I'm new here" in the comment section after subscribing, and I'll leave you a special virtual hug in my next video. Next, I went in to add my corn flour. I'm going to be using an adult eating spoon, adult regular eating spoon to measure my corn flour. I'm going to be measuring 4 heaped spoon of this into my flour mixture. I'm going to stir them up together. Like I said, I bought the milk cup of this corn flour, the measured one, for 500 naira. Then I also bought sugar. I bought half cup of sugar. I bought half cup of sugar for this recipe, and I had other things at home. Okay, I also bought oil. I bought oil, 1.5 bottles. That I use in the fries. Please don't ask me how I did all the fries. I don't know. Actually, I did the miracle. So I used 1.5 bottles of oil to do the frying of the 41 spring rolls, 26 samosas, and 127 small chop size puff puff. I also went in to add sugar, and I also added salt. Check the description box because I'll be leaving the detailed recipe in the description box beneath this video. So my small chops jacket mix is ready. I just stirred everything together, and I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to keep it because I'm going to use it early in the morning the next day by 3 a.m. Yes. So next I'm going to my puff puff, and for my puff puff I'm just going to be measuring out my flour. We sieve that also once, then I'll go over to add my sugar, and then I'll also add my yeast, and I'll be adding cinnamon and baking powder. Before you say yes, the reason why we add baking powder is to, when you fry puff puff, after sometimes some puff puff would deflate a little, or it will shrink a little. So the baking powder stops that. It makes it retain that size, that round shape all through, even till when it gets to your clients. And it's just a small quantity. I'll leave the details of the measurements in the description box. So for cinnamon powder, you can substitute that for nutmeg. It's fine. If you're using cinnamon powder, please ask your clients if they're allergic to cinnamon before you use cinnamon powder. You can also use all mixed spices. Just keep the measurements the same, but don't mix the 3 of them together. It's either you're using cinnamon powder, or you're using nutmeg, or you are using all mixed spices, so you choose one. So for this, I'm using cinnamon powder. So once I've added the yeast like this, I'm going to stir it together before I add my other items. I'm making 500 gram of my puff puff mix recipe. You can also see the recipe in the link that I'm going to drop in the description box beneath this video. So once I've added the sugar, I'm going to stir this up with my fingers. You are not overworking this batter, just stirring it up with your fingers. Next, I'm going to be adding my baking powder, just like this. You can see how small the quantity of the baking powder is. Then I will introduce my cinnamon powder. Like I said, you can also use your nutmeg or your all mixed spices, but I'm using cinnamon. Yeah, then I'll stir all this together, and then I'm going to cover this with its lid. I'll cover the bowl with its lid, and I'm going to keep this till tomorrow, because that's when I'll be using it. That is the next day, 3 a.m. of the next day. So this is my puff puff mix bucket when I normally usually use. So then I got my beef, I diced it into small cube, and I'm going to be setting that aside. Then for my pepper, I divided my pepper into two. I took 60% for my Smallchops sauce, and I kept 40% for my puff puff. I added my already soft kidney beans and green pea into my meat stock, and I boiled that till soft. Then I went over to make my sauce or my fillings for my Smallchops, my spring roll and samosa. Added a little oil into my pot, then went in with my spring onions and my red onions. Stirred that well, allowed it to fry for a minute or two. Then I went in to add my pepper, meat, green peas and kidney beans, all of them together, the four of them together. I added them together and stir them up well to combine. And then after I stirred it to combine, I went to season this. I seasoned it simply with salt, with seasoning cube, and with curry masala, keeping it very simple. Then after stirring it up, allow this to also stir fry for about 2 to 3 minutes on medium flames. Then I will now go ahead to add my cabbage mix, that is my cabbage and my carrots mix. I'll stir it together and I'll allow this stir fry and cook till it is 60% done. 60% done, because I'm going to be working the next day, and the next day I'm going to be heating it up a little bit so that it doesn't get sad before my clients eat it. So I'll heat it up a little bit, so I don't want it to be completely cooked today. So that's the reason why I made it to be 60% done, so that the next day I'll heat it up for a minute or two before using it for my fillings, for my Smallchops and samosa. Now I love my veggies in my fillings very a little bit crunchy, to have this crunch effect when my customers are biting into it. My sauce here is ready, so I'm just going to pour it into this my usual popular green basket or strainer to strain out any liquid left from the stir frying, and I'll leave this to cool completely before I'll place it back into the pot and keep it to the next day. So this is the next morning. I'm going to start by continuing with my Smallchops jacket. So this is my Smallchops jacket mix. I'm now going to introduce a liquid item. A liquid item there, if you have followed my Smallchops series, you know that this is just remaining water and oil. So I'm going to add the oil, and I'm going to be stirring this up well together. The first thing you want to do is you want to create a well or a hole in the middle of your flour before adding your oil, and then you mix it together first. Then before you start adding your water, you add your water and you mix together. Then I'm going to switch over to using my hand wicks so that I can mix it up thoroughly. I mix it up thoroughly, and then I'll now do my finger test. My finger test is just to show that yes, my batter is ready. Once the batter has coated my index finger, once that's coated my index finger, then it means that my batter is ready. It is not too runny, my batter is not too runny, my batter is not too thick. You're going to strike a balance between this. Please, you need to check my other Smallchops video, because I've talked a lot about this and I've shared a lot of tips about this. So next, I'm going to be scooping out some portion of my Smallchops batter, which I'll be using as a pastry glue, and also I'm going to be keeping some flour aside, and my pizza cutter or chin cutter, I'll keep them aside, and I'll go over to my non-stick pan and my brush. So this is basically what I'm going to be using to make my samosa and spring roll. Guys, my non-stick pan has decided to go for retirement after working for me for a very long time. So because it's no longer non-stick as it used to be, so add a little vegetable oil into my pan. I use a salvet to clean up, and then I'm going to be using my brush to apply my batter into my pan, just like I usually do. And then once this has heated up, I'll flip it to the other side, allow that side to cook for a minute, or a minute, not up to 2 minutes. Then I'll remove it from heat, and I'll repeat the process of cleaning my saucepan with little oil again before I do the next batch. So this was how I was able to work with my non-stick pan. I just discovered of recent that the non-stick pan is no longer as non-sticky as it was again. So in other words, you can also use a pan that is not non-stick for your small chops, but it's not it's not something I will advise you to go for. Please just save up and buy a non-stick pan if you don't have. So this is me making my spring rolls. So for my spring roll, if you follow my small shop series, know that my spring roll jacket has a size. I usually do it within 6 to 7 inches. That is, my jacket is within 6 to 7 inches. So I'll add my sauce, and I'm going to roll it like this. Roll it like this. You want to make sure your rolling is not too tight. If it's too tight, your sauce is going to pop out, and if it's too loose, your spring roll is going to become loosened once it gets into heat. So you don't want it to be loose. You want to make it as perfect as this. So I'll repeat this again so that you can see how the rolling is. It's very simple. Please go over to my video where I made over 100 spring rolls, and I share the step by step so that you can see details of this. So this is me repeating the same process. Add your sauce, roll it like this, then fold it on both edges, then add your pastry glue, and then you roll it to the end. Now if you don't want to use this pastry glue, that is, if you don't want to scoop batter from your jacket, you can also mix little flour with water and use as pastry glue, but I prefer this because it's much better. So this is my spring rolls ready, and then I'm going to go ahead to make my samosas. So for my samosa, I've also shared details on how to do this before in a previous video. My samosa, I got my jacket, divided this into two cuts, just try to make it a little bit rectangular, and I'm going to be working like this. Just look at the video, it's quite simple. If you are a right-handed person like myself, after dividing your jacket into two for your samosas, you're going to add your pastry glue to the left part of your jacket, and then you're going to fold it to form a cone or a triangle to the right side. You bring that triangle to the right side, then you add in your sauce, and then you add your pastry glue, and you seal it just the way I sealed it. Then you are going to fold that, close it up and fold that triangle again. You make sure the shape is always in a triangular format. And if you're a left-handed person, after dividing your jacket into two, you're going to apply your glue to the right side. You're going to form your first triangle, your first cone, allow it to come to the left side. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Right hand person will start from the left, a left-handed person will start from the right. That is, you're applying your glue. Then when you are folding, the right hand person is folding it to the right, the left-handed person will fold it to the left. Just watch the video, is quite simple. So I repeated this over and over again so that you guys can see. If you don't still get it, just rewind the video and watch it again. Watch it again. It's quite simple. Samosas are very simple to make. I don't know why some people usually find it difficult making samosas. I want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to all my OGs. You guys are the real deal. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your shares, your comments, your likes. It has been the push. Please keep leaving us comments, keep leaving us your likes, and keep sharing this video. And if you're still watching to this point, I have not yet subscribed, you've not joined my OGs community, that is my YouTube family, please just hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you do not miss out on all the recipes, premium no fail quality recipes that you can't find anywhere else on YouTube. Yes, sure, that I share once every week. After subscribing as a new viewer, just leave me in the comment section, "Hi, I'm new," and I promise I'm going to leave you a special virtual hug in my next video. Thank you so much for joining my YouTube family. So this is another way of getting perfect stripes on my samosa. I just get my jacket, which is within 6 to 7 inches. I divide it into two like this. Then I now cut out the curve part on each side, and I get my perfect stripe. So this is another way of getting your perfect stripes for your samosa. I just wanted to share that. So this is how to do a repair work if you have a tear in your samosa or spring roll. Just get the stripes from the samosa that you cut out and apply your pastry glue and use it to repair your tear. But I don't usually have this. I don't usually have it. But if you have it, please just go ahead and repair it just like this. It's just simple. Because if it gets to the fire and you don't repair it, it's going to spill out the contents. I'm done with my small chops, my samosa and spring roll. Just remains for me to fry them. I'm going over to my puff puff mix. So for my puff puff mix, I'm only going to be adding my wet item, which is the egg, the water, and later the grounded pepper. So I just created a hole in the center of my flour, added my egg, and then I'm going to be adding my water little by little. Now if your water content, that is your water content, is too much, puff puff is going to be soaking in oil and it's not going to form that round shape of puff puff that we Africans usually buy or usually eat. So that you want to mix with your fingers. Your water content should not be too much. Remember, you're going to add pepper at the end of the day. That is when it has already proved. You're going to add pepper at the end of the day. So you want to make sure your water content is not too much. Look at the consistency, not too thick and not runny, not too thick and not runny. Then once I was through, I'm just prepping my box. I'm using this cupcake box of 3. I'm not using the liner inside, no. So I got parchment paper and then I place it underneath inside the cupcake box, and this is the liner, the by 6 line. I'm not using that. I'm keeping that aside. And I also added serviette to my tray, and then I'm going to be branding my box by adding my sticker on it. Also, I'm going to be prepping the serviette, extra serviettes, with a picker, snack picker or shop picker. I'll prep them like this and place them into a nylon like this, just prepping my box. So next thing I'm going to do is to heat up my oil and, guys, fry. While I was setting up my box, I added oil into my frying pan and make sure it's heated on medium flames. And once that's heated, I inserted the skewer to the center of the oil and I saw bubbles gathering around the skewer. That showed that my oil was hot enough. Then I added my spring roll. I'm going to start by frying my spring roll and samosa. They take time to fry, so one tip is always start with your spring roll and samosa if you're making small chops, either at the event or you're doing a packaging before you deliver to your clients. The another tip is once you add your samosa and spring roll into your oil, don't stir them. Allow them to fry for 1 to 2 minutes first before you stir slightly with your skewer or your wooden spatula. The reason is if you stir immediately, it's going to scatter. So don't want them to scatter. I want them to fry 1 to 2 minutes. Let them have a little bit of stamina or stability before you stir. And when you are stirring, not stirring vigorously, just moving them from side to side like we see me doing. The another tip is make sure you're frying on medium flame and make sure your oil heat is moderate. If it's too hot, it means that you're going to have samosas or spring roll that are too crispy on the outside and not crispy inside. They're not well fried inside. And if it's just not hot, if your oil is not hot, that means your samosa and spring roll is going to be soaking in oil and you don't want that. So once I was done, I scooped them out of the oil and I transferred them to a serviette to drain out any excess oil. You can also use this a strainer. Then I went to my puff which is already proved at this stage, and I added my pepper into it and I stirred them together. If I'm making plantain mousse, the same thing I do. I make sure my puff batter has proven before I introduce my blended plantain. If I'm also making some special puff recipe like a meat blend, I'll add a meat blend into my puff after it's approved. So this is how to just make puff. I have a detailed recipe on how to make this puff, the puff mix, and how to make the puff. Very detailed video. I'll leave the link also in the description box beneath this video. The same rule of frying also applies to puff. Your oil should not be too hot. If it's too hot, your puff outside is going to get golden brown quickly, while the inside is going to be unfried. Also, if your oil is not hot enough, your puff is going to be soaking in oil, and you do not want that. It's also going to lose its shape. It's going to be having maybe a flat shape. Yes, that's because the oil's heat is not okay. So once I was through, this was my puff. Yes, look at how beautiful they look. And I'm going to start by doing my packaging inside my box. That puff is the one for clients. We also have extra. So actually what my clients ordered was 20 spring roll, 16 samosas, and 80 puff. But the whole recipe I did yielded 41 spring rolls, 26 samosas, and 127 pieces of puff. So this is just how to make one of my Smallchops platters, and this was charged at, should I say it? Oh no, I would say it. If you want me to tell you how much this was charged, you have to ask me in the comment section, and I will respond to you. Yes, I will respond to you on how much this box, the Smallchops platter, the Smallchops box was charged. So this is me setting up. Then I'm also putting some extras in this nylons for my son's teachers in school. He has 3 favorite teachers. Apart from his class teacher, he has 2 extra favorite teachers. So once I'm making pastries or chops or cakes, it is mandatory that I give them. If not, I won't hear the last of it throughout that week. So I'm just adding some into these extras. And then my puff was ready. My Smallchops platter was ready. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please leave me comments, ask me your questions in the comment section, and I promise you I'm going to respond to them. So that is all for me for today. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for sticking around to watch my videos to this very point, and subscribe if you have not, and see you in a subsequent video. Bye for now.